Welcome back to the channel, and today I've got a pretty interesting, unique idea. I want to use the landmines to create a trap setting drone. So imagine, if you will, a drone that, an unmanned drone that hovers at a fixed, stationary at a fixed distance above the ground. And using the new update to the distance sensors, it has a creation detecting distance sensor. So when you drive under the drone, you trigger the trap. And the trap consists of 6 landmines in a circle that will descend not on you, but around you, essentially trapping you inside a circle, kind of like this, but of landmines. And you can only have a maximum of 6 landmines spawned from a single creation, I believe. So then if you stay still, the goal is that the landmines are set to a distance that they will not explode as long as you're in the center. But if you try to escape, then you will get close enough to the landmines to trigger them. So it is a landmine trap laying drone. Automated drone. Yeah, that. All right, let's get building. I'm excited to use the distance sensor setting. Funny enough, it's like with all the weapons that they've introduced, like the torpedoes and the depth charges and the sea mines and the land mines, these are all explosive weapons that detect creations built into them, which is all of the reasons why I wanted a distance sensor to be able to detect creations so that I could have things blow up when things got near it. But now we have weapons that serve that purpose anyway. So I'm like, what do I want to use the distance sensor setting for? But now I figured it out. All right, so these are going to be self-sufficient automated drones. We're going to have all sorts of like stabilizer things. We want them to stay in place, essentially. We want them to be resistant to all kinds of movement, up, down, left, right, all that stuff. So we're going to need sensors. All kinds of sensors, speed sensors, potentially altitude sensors, and then distance sensor, creation sensors. And then of course, naturally, gyros to keep it perfectly level. And then the landmines. We're gonna need an array of landmines in a circle, which circles are always fun in build grids. All right, so we got this. Now we need it to stay in the air. So let's use gimbal jets for upwards. I don't think we want this thing to really have to move around a lot. I think we're just gonna have micro adjustments for keeping it in a spot so it doesn't start like drifting off into places we don't want it to drift. All right, we got speed sensor facing down. Speed sensor is set to 0. So we will use a normal distance sensor, just like back here, because now we need this thing to trigger when it senses a creation. A single distance sensor is gonna be all we need, but you'll have to drive directly under that distance sensor. But I think only 6 landmines, we're probably gonna have a pretty small radius, so it's probably gonna be a pretty small area. Now the thing is, there's gonna be one major weakness. If you're driving fast enough, you can probably just zoom under it before the landmines even hit the ground. But let's pretend we're like a slow-moving tank or something. All right, so this distance sensor is going to keep us off the ground. So let's say we want this thing to be 10 meters off the ground. So if we invert trigger, it should be on when it is below 10 meters. Do these have a negative? They do not have a negative. They could have a negative power, right? Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, so we could do a set for down. If this distance sensor triggers, we activate up. We don't want to activate all up. Hold on, how do I do this? This is different than if I was to have control, because this is going to be self-sufficient and I'm not going to be controlling it. I needed to do all this stuff without button inputs. But I want it to be stable. I don't want it to be like bouncing up and down. So the idea is that if it goes below a certain altitude, it raises back up to that altitude. But then if it just gives a burst of thrust, it's gonna like go way up. And then if I tell it to resist going down, then it's just gonna hover there. So how do I get it to go down? How do I get it to stay at a certain altitude? I think I just give it a window. Like it has to be between 10 and 12. I just hope it doesn't do like a feedback loop where it's bouncing in between instead of just stabilizing. So, no, I got it. All right, so Yep, here we go. We're gonna need 2 distance sensors. One's gonna be the lower limit, one's gonna be the upper limit. So this is 10, and then if we go above 12, so we don't invert the trigger, if we go above 12, it triggers this. So now, we use a NOR logic gate. So if the speed sensor is on, it triggers the AND gate. If the NOR logic gate is on, it triggers the AND gate. If we get above 12, it triggers the NOR gate, which means that the speed sensor is no longer going to be triggering this AND gate, so it allows us to go down. And then once we get below 12, it triggers it. Now, if we are above 12, it also triggers these, which gives us downwards thrust. And if we are below... Oh no, this is the wrong one. That was supposed to be these. If we are below 10, it triggers these, which gives us upwards thrust. Did I just do it? I think I got it reversed. Oh, no, the invert trigger, I inverted the invert trigger. I just had to change that. Okay. Remember that thing I said I wanted to not happen? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Pretty stable, actually. It just takes a little bit to get into the groove. But as I add more weight, I feel like that's going to equal out a little bit. I can't get it to... Okay, hold on. I need a deactivate button. I feel like this, just like press number 1. There we go. That should do it. Ready, and let me let it stable out first. There we go. Number 1. Okay, number 1 does not deactivate it, which I understand why. So the one that is triggering below 10, we need another NOR gate and another AND gate. So this goes into the AND gate and the NOR gate goes into the AND gate. And then that AND gate is what triggers these. So this distance sensor does not trigger these anymore. And now this, when we press number 1, toggle. All right, so now we should stay at the thing at between 10 and 12. We'll get there eventually. There we go. And then we press number 1. Cool. Now we can turn it off when we need to. All right. I can adjust the power settings. It's just more like once I become heavier, I'm not going to go shooting up past the threshold and it'll be easier. I think we'll zero in quicker. All right. So now that we got those controls, now we need anti-rotation control. That doesn't really matter that much, to be honest, but let me just put a gyro in here, and then we will just max this out. That should keep it... that should stabilize a little bit. You can see that it was turning gradually, and now it's not. That could be a couple of things, but yeah, I think we're good. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Why is it staying... I turned it off. I pressed the button to turn it off. Why doesn't the off button work anymore? Oh, there we go. There's something weird with that. I don't know what it was, but this cycles in a weird way that can override the input. Okay, so we got that. Now let's prevent drifting. This is easy enough. We just need a bunch more sensors. Speed sensor in the backwards direction. Speed sensor in the forwards direction. Speed sensor in the left direction, and then speed sensor in the right direction. And then we need some mini thrust or some plasma thrust. Plasma thrust actually is probably good enough. If we detect any speed in the right direction, we trigger this. If we detect any speed in this direction, we trigger that. If we detect any speed in this direction, we trigger that. And if we detect any speed in this direction, we trigger that. All right, so now... I need to up my the gyro stabilizers, because you can see we're a little back heavy. But despite that, we are staying still in one spot because of all of the sensor controls. For the most part, we're okay. All right, turn it off. There we go. All right, I am going to adjust these to be like 0.1. Come on, just the littlest. Okay, that's not working. Whoa, what? All right, 0.1. There we go. Okay, I think we have the essential automation down. Now it's just a matter of deploying the landmines. Okay, so let's make a little space here. We will add another sensor. This is a distance sensor, and we go into the settings, and for the first time ever, only detect blocks. And we can set this to unlimited. All right, and then that will trigger the landmine dispensers. I just noticed a flaw. So if this triggers the landmine dispensers, then we have an issue. Because then if the whole purpose of this is a trap, that means you drive under it, it detects you, it triggers the landmines. The goal is like now you're stuck there, which because this thing isn't moving, it's gonna stay above you, detecting you. So that means it's gonna re-trigger. And that is a weakness. How do we get it to only trigger once? Accumulator? No, because that'll send a constant output and that'll also re-trigger them. Oh no, maybe we allow them only to be triggered once. Because if okay, all right, let's see here. So we set duration 0.1, so it drops it. And if this stays triggered, it doesn't re-trigger it because the duration is off. So all right, what's the, right click is how you do the thing. All right, so now if I hold down right click, I'm holding it down. That might blow me up. All right, I'm holding it down. All right, there we go. Now it's not re-triggering. But if the sensor gets undetected and then redetected, it will drop it again. I don't know if there's any way for it to really distinguish between detecting a new enemy or really distinguish between having dropped the landmines already and not dropping the landmines yet. I mean, the accumulator is the way to do that. Actually, the accumulator is the way to do that. This accumulator has a maximum of 1, minimum of 0, scale 1. So now when I right click, it presses the thing and it's gonna be on a delay of 0.1. Actually, it's gonna be a delay on like 0.05. That way it doesn't override what I'm about to do. So now I need another logic gate. Need an AND gate. I think we need another NOR logic gate. There's probably better ways to do the logic. I'm not a logic person. I just figure it out as I go. This is how I'm doing it. So now this accumulator goes into the NOR, which means it should essentially invert the signal. So when this accumulator is on, this is off. And when this is off, it goes into the AND gate. And this AND gate responds when I click the button, which then triggers the landmine. So then what happens is when I do all that, the accumulator turns on. And if the accumulator is on, it turns off the NOR gate, which means that the AND gate will no longer receive that condition to re-trigger the landmine. So if I right click, landmine goes. Now let's wait for it to recharge. And I should not be able to re-trigger it. All right, it's on, right click. There we go. You can see the accumulator responding, but condition is already met. So now this will only trigger the landmine once. Trap has been set. It's realistic. Once you set the trap, you can't set it again. You've deployed it. It is deployed. You can't reload this trap. All right, so now instead of being triggered by my mouse, it is triggered by the creation sensor. Let's do a quick test. So that's just gonna hover there. All right, please stabilize. There we go, stabilize. And then we're just gonna spawn in a tank. Big old thing so we guarantee to trigger the sensor. All right, ready? Yes! Yeah, and it won't be able to trigger again. Ooh. Problem. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a distance sensor determining its altitude. Because I wanted it to be the same altitude off the ground no matter where I spawn it. Because if I have an altitude sensor, then if I'm on it, I can't spawn it on like a hill or anything like that. Maybe this is fine. I just gotta dial in the strengths of like all of these. Let's just turn everything down to like 0.5. See how that feels right now. Yeah, that just doesn't work. 0.75. But actually, I just remembered these ones have to be the negative version. Negative 0.75. Okay, the negative ones actually have to be way less because we have gravity working with us as well. Maybe we don't even need these. Do we not need these? Let's put these at power 0. Wait, what? Okay, not bad. All right, let's put them at negative, or not negative, let's put them at 0.6. So now it'll go into position and it shouldn't overshoot. Yeah, that's better. All right, but that'll have to be dialed in once we add the landmine weight. Let's just put them at max again for now. But I'm at least proving the concept that I can dial in this feedback loop. It's not even a feedback loop, but this loop, undesirable loop, just by changing the strengths of these. All right, so let's put this somewhere better. There we go. All right, now we need the array of landmines. So here, let's just create our ideal situation. All right, so if we got these, then we copy and paste them in a cross. No, it's not. That's not centered. That's not centered either. We got a problem. This is our center. We have these two at the center. We got 1, 2, then that. We got 1, 2, 3, and that. So this needs to go out by 1. All right, now I think we have a center point. But then we need to go another 3 out from there. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. All right, so now if we copy and paste that, put it there. How is that? Oh, this one needs a third. Here, we do this, we do that. All right, there we go. Now I think we have a symmetrical plus sign. All right, so then, oh, there's 6, not 8. So we can't do this because this is gonna get us up to 8. So if I need there to be 3 and 3. Okay, that's fine. So then this needs to go. We need mirror mode. Oh, thank God that worked. A steering hinge. So this is 180 degrees. If I divide that by 3, we get 60 degrees. So if I put this steering hinge on 60 degrees, let's just have one of these NOR gates go into the steering hinge. All right, so now that's not right. Turn this one the other way. Okay, hold on. Mirror mode off, please. There we go. All right, 60 degrees. Good. Oh yeah, I forgot to increase the things. Oh no, my game is frozen. I broke it. I hope I didn't lose this. I put a lot of programming into that thing. I couldn't, for some reason, it wasn't letting me turn it off. Whatever my off programming is broken. And then trying to repair it on the ground caused my game to freeze. All right, cool. Definitely saved it. All right, so now I will also copy and paste these in the forward direction. Well, it definitely doesn't look... You know why? It's because of the offset. Or that time turning it off worked. It's because these need to be here and then move out to the side. And I can't do that here. So then what... How many degrees is this? All right, well, let's just do some experimentation. Let's change this from 60 down to 50. I feel like that looks good enough. I honestly feel like that looks good enough. And I think we set these to a radius of like 1. And we just have a small enough creation. Or we just increase it. I think we just increase it. This is kind of nice having the angles because now the angle stays consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all I got to do is this. And it should be another perfect circle. That looks better. All right, so now if you drive directly under this, is there some way we can have like an indicator, like a laser? We need a laser. We need a laser sight. I mean, I guess we can try to use a headlamp. I don't think this is gonna be that bright though. Yeah, it just creates too big of an area. Oh well, it's fine. All right, I mean, I think it's essentially ready. Let me just paint it a better color. I feel like carbon fiber is the way to go for this thing. No real design. It's a trap. It's not supposed to be super detectable. I mean, granted, I did put some headlamps just facing down. All right, and just for the sake of convenience, let's also give this an input of W and S so I can control this thing if I want to place it somewhere in particular. Yeah, so now I can like actually go forward. Oh, but it resists me going forward. Oh, I'd have to put a whole cancellation logic if I want to actually do that. It's literally resisting me. There's a way around this. I'm gonna put a couple of extra ones. That way I can at least go forward and resist. Oh. Am I now too heavy? Did that just make me too heavy? Wait, these are on maximum though. Wait, no way, that just made me too heavy? Well, I can add these in there because I'm not using them anymore. Question is, what was the source of those? Distance sensor goes into this and logic gate. That goes into those, so that's now gonna go into these. And these ones are also going to be on +1. Wait, why am I no longer able to go up? Oh, there we go. Well, now I'm going up too much. What just happened? All right, let me remove these ones again. Wait, now they're not enough again. What? All right, now I'm enough. Oh, but now it's not enough to keep me... All right, you know what? This is fine. Look, I can go around now. We figured it out, okay? We figured it out enough. Now we need to trigger it with a vehicle. So let's put it right here. Oh, wait, let's save it first. Hold on. This thing gives me mosquito vibes. Wait, why is it being so... Wait, we just went through this and it worked fine. Wait, what? It wasn't doing this a second ago. I'm very confused. All right, now you can see it's working fine again. I didn't change anything, by the way. All right, some inconsistencies, but I think we're okay. All right, now let's just hop in a normal template vehicle like this thing, something small. And let's see what happens to our unsuspecting little thing here. So we're just like cruising along and we're just cruising along and then nothing happens. And we're just cruising along and nothing happens because I didn't rehook up these landmines into the system. All right, now I think it's ready. Yeah, come on. Why is it doing this again? We just went over this, that doesn't happen anymore. All right, let me just repair it. And now it's fine. I don't know why sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I definitely have some logic inconsistencies happening. All right, but everything should be hooked up now. Please work. Let's see if the trap can be set. All right, we just go under it. Oh no. Oh no, what do I do? What do I do? All right, that's not a perfect circle. We need to go a couple degrees more to make it a perfect circle, but let's try to like escape. Exactly. Exactly. All right. This is turning out pretty good. We need a slower vehicle though. That thing's way too fast. All right, so let's change these steering hinges to 52 degrees. All right, I figured out this problem. This doesn't make sense though. So if I'm not in it, never mind, it's working again. If I hop out of it after it spawns in, then it doesn't work. But if I'm either in it or not in it when it spawns in, it works. I cannot change that condition. All right, let's just replace these engines with a bulldog engine. There we go, single bulldog engine. Now this is how fast we go. This feels a lot more reasonable. We go under the creation and boom, trap has been laid. They are set to a trigger radius of 1. Interesting that they seem... They don't seem like they... Wait! What just happened? It re-triggered. Is it re-triggering? It didn't re-trigger that time. Wait, why is it doing that? I fixed that problem. Is the accumulator... The accumulator isn't active? Okay, hold on. Something's wrong again. So this accumulator goes into this NOR gate, and that NOR gate is what goes into there. But this accumulator is triggered by right click. These are not triggered by right click. Maybe I... Oh, this accumulator is triggered by right click. This accumulator can't be triggered by right click. It has to be triggered by the distance sensor that detects creations. There we go. That was the problem, because we're not actively activating it anymore. See, if I get out of it while it spawns in, it does this loop thing for some reason. But if I'm not in it, then it's fine. I don't know what the deal is. All right, anyway, now I think it is in working condition. So we drive nice and slowly. And then, oh, trap has been laid. That front one seems a little bit closer, but this is good. All right, is there a way out? I set them to 1. I don't know what the distance of 1 is. Let me see if I can sneak between these two over here. Seems to be a little bit more space. Okay, that's a problem. All right, obviously we need to adjust. But here, let me try to sneak back in and try to re-trigger it. I shouldn't be able to. All right, cool. It's detected me again. Yeah, you can see the accumulator is active. All right, we fixed it. Wait, what about me? All right, they are player sensitive too, which is pretty cool. I didn't actually know that until just now. All right, so these things, let's do a trigger radius of 3. I want to find where they're covering the distance between them, but they're not going to explode me just sitting in the middle. All right, here we go. All right, clearly we went a little bit too far. Let's try 2. Okay, here we go. All right, so now it's not detecting me. And now I'm gonna try to go through what looks like the widest opening. Wait, why is it closed? Why did it close itself? I mean, it's kind of cool that it's like inactive. All right, here we go. All right, that clearly, I don't think I was getting through there. But why did it close itself? That's weird. That's an unintended. I may have actually, just by chance, hooked up something into the NOR gate that also triggers the, that accumulator might be going into the NOR gate that triggers the steering hinges to expand. So then when they get used, it actually closes, which is kind of cool. Let's see if it actually happens again this time. Oh, it closes. It like literally deactivates itself. I love that. Then you know that it is out of commission. The trap has been set from that one, so it has to get reloaded. All right, let me try to sneak. I'm just gonna sneak on out of here. I'm just gonna, nope. All right, this is working. We've got this thing working exactly as intended. Here, let me try something more. Oh, this looks like a good spot over here. Kind of want it to be on land as opposed to like an airstrip. I think this is a cool area. All right, let me, I want to paint these though. I feel like because these are explosive, they should be red. All right, so that should stay here. Just gonna stay in it until it stabilizes. Good. Oh, if I use my transform, it gets rid of that thing. Dang it. Okay, here we go. Field test. Whoa! This is like the perfect size of vehicle, I think, to not get triggered by, or to not trigger the landmines. All right, so I think we're literally done. Like we cannot move from here. If I'm gonna try with my character next, but let me try one more time. I'm just gonna inch my way. Nope, nope. It's such a violent explosion. I love that it triggers every single mine. I like that they're triggered by other explosives. All right, now this says it detects blocks. Does it detect player? All right, it doesn't detect player. So what do I do? I need something really, really, really small. We use my couch. All right, so here's the plan. Here's the plan. This is actually a really bad idea, but I just needed the trigger. And then we get into build mode. Delete blocks. Exit build mode. All right, so now am I stuck in here? I feel like I might be able to squeeze out through here. Oh, I can. I can, just barely. All right. It looks like I might want a couple more degrees. And then maybe a radius of like just a little bit more. So these will be 54 degrees. And then I'll set the trigger radius on all of these to 2.3. All right, let me just make sure I can actually sit in the middle of this. Oh, no. 2.3 was too much. Let's just go 2. 1. Oh boy. All right, that's nerve-wracking. All right, now it does look like more of an even distribution. So I do like that, but is the 2.1 enough? Okay, wait, do I not trigger them? No, I do trigger them. I just want there to be overlap so that you can't even walk out. Let's go with 2.2. Oh, I'm trapped. 2.2 seems to be enough. Delete blocks. And dang it. It's like, it's just wide enough for my character to fit through. The problem is if I make it any more, then like a vehicle isn't going to be able to stay in the middle. I feel like this is good enough. Like, I don't know why. I just thought it'd be cool if my character also couldn't like get out without blowing the things up, but that's not really a practical desire. The vehicle being trapped, I think, is plenty good enough. And it's really particularly designed for this vehicle specifically. Or anything this size or smaller, pretty much. Yeah, oh, it's so good. It is so good. I love just how everything it just all comes down at once, and then you're trapped. It's like, trap is set. Exactly what we were looking for, and then there's no way. It looks like there's a way out. It's like, oh, I can fit between these things, but nope. There's a blast radius, and you can't get out. We have built what did I say it was? Landmine trap, the autonomous landmine trap laying drone. I definitely used those words in a different order at the beginning of the episode. I don't remember what I did, but it was I think those were all the words. The autonomous landmine trap laying drone. So just a weird idea that popped into my head with not only the distance sensor, but the landmines. And finally got to use the new distance sensor setting in a way that it was actually like needed. I like that. The fact that it doesn't detect the land, because this would have been impossible without that. Actually, yeah, I don't think this would have been possible at all without that distance sensor setting. There'd be no reliable way to detect the difference between a creation going under it versus the ground. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, well, leave some suggestions for some other stuff you'd like to see down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, you'll probably enjoy some more you can find right here on the end screen. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.